Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com.
I mean, when we came up with the name, I honestly thought like, well, church ladies will be really offended by that, but they're never going to hear us. So I don't know. I mean, it hasn't really been much of an issue for a while, and I don't care. It hasn't really stopped us from doing anything. And if we could have thought of something better, we would have.
What's happening? Thank you so much for tuning in to Hyphenate. This is me, your host, Randy Randall, and this is our show for Thursday, May 15th. On today's show, I am happy to welcome my guest, Mr. Matt Cronk from the band Qui. I've known Matt a long time. We get into it in the interview and talk about the long history of living in Los Angeles and making music. And yeah, it's funny. It's funny, you know, for a big city, it can be a small town sometimes. So I'm happy to get to catch up with Matt and hear what he's been up to, what he's working on. Hope everybody is doing well out there in the world. Yeah, summertime coming up, cookouts. Oh man, I know we keep talking about trying to go to the beach, but the beaches here in LA, at least in the northern part of Los Angeles beaches, seem to be going through some environmental concerns at the moment, whether it's through algae, you know, kicked up by the fire and smoke, debris and things. So trying to figure out, that's been what's been on my mind mostly lately. I was trying to figure out what's up with the beaches here in LA. But, you know, I don't know. You know, if you know, you can write me at hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com. I would love to hear what you think about what is going on at the beaches here in Southern California, or just in general beach-related questions or unbeach-related questions. You can write me, hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com. I'm also up on the webs, or the Instagrams at Randy S. Randall. And yeah, go out there and support some live music. Oh, I saw Deerhoof this last weekend. Incredible band. So good. It was funny. Yeah, it was kind of follow-up to the Maggie Vale podcast. She talked about working with Deerhoof at Kill Rock Stars in her time there, and their album title, Offend Maggie. But yeah, it was great. It was great to see them. Yeah, they played the Lodge Room here in LA, and it was an incredible show. So hot and sweaty. It was a good show. What else is going on? I don't know. That's it. These beaches. I don't know what's going on. And it's hard to know. You look up news, you look up things, you go, is this real? Is this not real? But you don't want to go. Don't want to go to the beaches. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of the environmental fallout of the recent fires has just continued. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's been tough. I've heard about people getting sick while they're remediating the house, trying to get their houses back together. You know, it's lung infections, eye infections. Just so much stuff in the air. So if you're in the LA area, be safe, be careful, read up on the news in your area. Try to try to mask up whenever possible if you need to. And yeah, we'll get through this. But definitely a tough one now. Looking at this summer, I'm kind of going like, okay, well, the outdoor activities will definitely have to be curtailed to some degree. So, just another day living in paradise. All right. Well, here we go. We'll get to my interview with the one and only Matt Cronk. Matt, thank you so much for coming on to Hyphenate. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I almost forgot the name of the show. I had a brain fart there for a minute. Like, wait, what are we doing? Oh, right. Yeah, it's good to see you. I feel like I've known you forever.
We've known each other for damn near 25 years.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I recall, and I probably never told you this, but remember This Ain't No Picnic was probably the second year. I remember coming back from that and stopping at the In-N-Out Burger there off the 5 and like running into you there. But I think you just stood, I don't think we officially knew each other, but you were a striking, person with your glasses and the kind of the mug you have. And I remember saying like, oh, that guy's cool. I think that guy's in a band. This would have been like 99 or something, or like maybe 2000, 2001.
Yeah. 2000. Yeah.
When did you first move to LA?
Well, I moved it would have been 99.
Okay.
February 99. I went out to LA. I moved, but my girlfriend at the time was going to school in Santa Barbara. So what I ended up doing was I stayed in LA for like a month, and then I just went up to Santa Barbara, and I just kind of crashed up there for like a year and change. And then I officially moved to LA in the beginning of, or October of 2000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like same time, I moved to, I'm from Southern California, from the Inland Empire in a small town near Pomona. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to Hollywood in 99, May of 99. Mm-hmm. And then went to school and lived over there forever.
Well, I remember getting to know you when I worked at the Silver Lake Guitar Shop.
Yes, dude. Yeah. No, nothing that exciting, but that person hit me up. Recently I was like, what? It's out of the blue. Anyway, we can edit all this out, but yeah, Mike texted me out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck? This guy? Okay, whatever. Yeah. Exactly. So Silver Lake Guitar Shop. Yeah. I remember going into Silver Guitar Shop, which is a kind of local mom and pop guitar shop in Silver Lake. And you were cool. I was definitely learning about guitars and things. And I would go in there kind of as well, you know what I mean? When you're a kid, it's like Guitar Center sucks. It took me years to feel confident enough to know even what I wanted at Guitar Center, to not let some Nunu Betancourt looking motherfucker behind the thing try to pressure me into buying some Ibanez or some shit. And I'm like, no, I think I just want some Ernie Ball strings. Bro, check this. Do you want a protection? You want a warranty on those strings, bro? I'm like, I don't think so.
Well, I remember too, you totally were that kid.
Yeah, I was curious. I loved to hang.
Yeah. And when I say that, you were that kid that everybody liked.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean? Not the shit. And I was an annoying kid too, hanging around guitar shops, not knowing what I was doing. Not,
yeah.
No, but
I would buy stuff every once in a while. If I got paid, I would fork over money. I think that's the hardest part of that job of there's the looky loos, and you're like, buddy, you gotta pull out $100, sometime in the next 6 months, or this is gonna get annoying. I'm happy to talk to you, but you got to buy something. So but then on the other hand too, it's if you're, how to put it, and forgive me, I'm just waking up. We're in coffee time. The time change too. We had 2 hours.
I think, oh god, I completely lost my train of thought. No, you were likable. You know what I mean? You were the kid that we were happy to answer your questions and stuff. We were like, yeah, this guy's all right. He's gonna be cool. Like, you know,
it's cool. No, because definitely going in, and it was like I said, you know, I grew up in the suburbs, and we had a Guitar Center, and I bought a flanger and didn't know, or a phaser or some shit. And I was like, I don't think this is really what I'm looking for. But then over the years, and moving out to LA, and then kind of getting into bands and going to the Smell and stuff, it was like the Black Market, you know, was a cool shop. And again, you know, it's like I had I was dangerous in that, like, I like most kids or most people starting out with music. It's like I had taste, but no experience and no money, but I knew what I liked. And so it's that kind of feeling of like, well, okay, there's a lot of roads you can go to, like half-ass this thing. But I liked Firebrand Gibsons, those like late 70s, early 80s Gibsons. And then tubes. I figured that out. I was like, okay, these things sound good. So I'm just going to kind of stick in this lane for as much as I can. Some big T-top, you know, zebra humbuckers and tubes.
Yeah, it's hard to fuck that up.
Yeah, exactly. I tried a lot of different ways and just realized, like, okay, nothing really beats this. So if I can stick with some, but even the hate on the Norlin era Gibsons and whatnot, it's like, I don't know. I still like them. They play great.
I have two of them.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. Sorry, what were you going to say? I interrupted you.
I don't recall.
Oh, okay. But so where do you come from originally before Los Angeles? Where does your story start?
I grew up in Minneapolis. I'm 47. So yeah, I grew up in Minneapolis. I moved to LA when I was 21. So I've been here. I've actually been here in LA longer than I lived in Minneapolis.
Isn't that wild? When you think of that,
it is, dude.
It's just those important years from, you know, those early formative teenage years are still always the ones that matter,
dude. And yeah, in that regard too, like Minneapolis was a great place to grow up. I mean, it's real fucking cold, and it's small, and despite being a pretty progressive place, it can still be pretty provincial.
But were you seeing music there? Is that where you first kind of got introduced to bands? What sort of stuff were you seeing?
Well, I think my very first concert ever was Cool and the Gang. But no, I mean, it's like I was lucky in that, like, you know, I was sort of adjacent to a really cool local punk scene, and got to start participating in that pretty young. You know, I remember seeing like a few times when I was like 13, and bear with me, used to go see Soul Asylum.
They were a cool band, or are a cool band, I guess, you know, whatever it was. Yeah.
Before all that Runaway Train shit, they were a like really, really killer rock and roll band, and I used to go see them.
Yeah.
I mean, just blow the roof off the place. And then, you know, I was.
You were like, you know, the generation
the
under like the Matts and the Do.
Totally,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
Like you weren't there for that, but then just the next generation, which is sort of that, you know, that era.
Yeah, and I mean, Replacements, Husker Du, like I absolutely love those bands. But I also I was like around when the AMREP thing was happening, so I got to see a lot of those bands. Like I had to see the Cows probably like 15 times, and they were a favorite of mine. And like Hammerhead and Guzzard and then a bunch of like the Chicago bands and
Touch and Go stuff of in that world,
all of that cool stuff. I mean, I saw Fugazi. Shit, I saw Fugazi on my 16th birthday.
That's awesome.
I saw Dinosaur in like 92, 93. Melvins.
Wild.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I only know from tour, but it was like First Avenue or 7th Street Entry, that kind of stuff. But what were some of the other cool? I mean, there was the Triple Rock for a while, but that's
the Triple Rock didn't exist yet. I mean, it was mainly First Avenue and the 7th Street Entry.
Okay.
You know,
did you have any Prince stories? Any Prince run-ins?
Yeah, actually.
Can you share it with the public?
Sure. Sure. I guess I have two. This would have been in 97 or 98. I worked for a company in Minneapolis that did like concert production. I was like a lighting tech. And our crew got hired to tech rehearsals for Prince's greatest hits set. So basically, like, we were going to go in and troubleshoot his whole light rig for the tour.
Whoa. And his rehearsals at First Avenue.
No. This was at his compound.
Oh my God. Okay. But he had a full light board and everything and a whole.
Yeah, he had a full sound. I mean, his entire concert thing set up on his sound stage. And I mean, Paisley Park is enormous. Wow. This giant compound. And it was absolutely fucking miserable. We were working like 20-hour days. And Prince was, I mean, just like this insane megalomaniac and mean-spirited. And
two people, like two people's faces that you'd see, or he would talk through handlers. Would he like look
mostly through handlers? Yeah.
Okay.
But like, like we had like a crew of 20 people setting up an entire stage and light rig and sound system, and like it's 2 days of 20-hour days. And he came in and said like, no, I wanted it over there. That kind of shit. You weren't allowed to look at him if he walked in the room. He actually tried to send my boss home because like, he's like down on his knees wrenching on something. And it's like, you see like, a pair of purple sequined high heels walk by and go, oh, and then like security came up to him and was like, yeah, you got to go. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to take all my stuff and my crew and we'll go.
Yeah. Thanks.
So he let him stay.
The invoice is coming in the mail. Don't worry.
Totally.
It's an easy day.
But one of the nights that I was there, and I was one of two people who were there who saw it. I was like up in the lighting truss, like working on something, and it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and he comes out with his whole band, and then Shaka Khan, Maceo Parker, and Larry Graham from Sly and the Family Stone, and they just jammed for like an hour. Whoa. And I was like one of 2 people there who saw it. And so I was 19, and that was pretty fucking incredible.
It's this like dichotomy. It's this like 2 things you have to hold in your hand at the same time, or hold in your head in the abstract of like, he's an asshole and he's probably one of the most talented people on earth. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, like, he was getting fan mail from Miles Davis when he was 20, like who's not going to be weird?
Yeah.
My other Prince First Avenue run-in was actually it was right around that same year. I'm not sure if it was before or after, but my band was playing in the 7th Street entry, and Morris Day and the Time were playing in the main room at First Avenue, and it was I was underage, and it was a 21 and over show. But my buddy was the DJ. So he snuck me up into the DJ booth to watch Morris Day, and sitting there, and there's a little thing at the door, and Prince comes in with his bodyguards and
to the DJ booth.
Yeah, he wanted to watch the show. So I sat like arm in arm with Prince, and we watched Morris Day and the Time perform Jungle Love at First Avenue, just like in Purple Rain.
Insane.
I know, right?
But no words spoken, no eye contact. No, did you know the drill already by then?
I mean, yeah, by then I didn't want to get sent home, so I literally just went like,
acknowledge your existence. I'm cool. Yeah. I won't say shit. There we go.
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, our band before No Age played 7th Street entry, and
was that Wives?
Wide, yeah. And we were loading out, and again, this was first tour. This is sleeping on floor. It's just we look homeless. We're in rough shape by that point of the tour, and we're loading out, and the show was fine, but we're just we're whatever, however old we are, 24, 20, probably 22, and just tired and haggard. But Prince walks into 7th Street entry and sits down in the back of the bar with 2 girls who are like shorter than him, and then bodyguards that are like twice his size. But we're loading out, and at that point I'm an idiot and bringing in a full stack and all the, what I mean? I'm just bringing as much gear as we can, loading into our crappy little van. And so we're just exhausted, sweaty, covered, you just played a show to like 5 people, and we're loading out. We're going to go sleep in some kid's basement.
Yeah.
And then we're like, wait, there's a little guy with 2 big guys. Like, is this Prince? And so Dean and I run over, and I think I had our record, we'd had a full length record at that point, or maybe 7-inch or something, went over and like went to go like, oh my God, it's Prince. Like, hey, like went to go hand it to him. And then with like they've done this a million times, the bodyguard puts the hand out, intercepts it, grabs it, Prince doesn't even move his neck, just kind of the eyes dart up towards us and then back to the girls. And we're like, all right, that's that. Big gulps, just walked away. Like, cool. Hey, I can live on that story.
That counts as having met Prince. That's
we were in the same room, you know what I mean? Yeah, that was all he had for us. But the eye contact was made, and we gave the bodyguard our 7-inch and got the fuck out of there. That's pretty great. Yeah. I still tell the story. I'm not mad at it. I had seen him just the year. I saw him the year before in Hawaii, where my mom was living, at the college basketball stadium, which is probably smaller on the smaller side of venues for him at that point. But it was great. Yeah, he had Maceo Parker. He was doing the things, throwing the guitars off the stage. Like, it was just obscene. Just such a great concert.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing when I was working out there, is I got to watch that show, like the greatest hits set. I got to, watch that like 30 times, like 8 feet away from him. Like, watch this. The solo, opened with Let's Go Crazy. I got to watch him play that guitar solo, bazillion times, so like
insane. Would he have the tech out front catching the guitars?
Yeah.
Okay. That guy. What a job that must be.
Well, and like being like, you hear all this stuff about Prince, particularly because I worked in production in Minneapolis. So, it's like you cross paths with everybody who was sort of in and out of Prince's orbit. And that was like one of the things, like he treated his employees like indentured servants. And, like his whole band lived in this motel, like in Chanhassen near his compound. And you're on call 24 hours a day. Whenever Prince wants you, it's like, you're summoned, and it sounded just awful. And then, like his tech crew, it was the same.
Wow.
And I don't know. It's like, I love Prince, like everybody loves Prince, but I don't think I can think of a single thing he did after 1986 that I liked at all. And for all of that great music, for every good song he put out, he put out at least one shitty one. And he,
treating people like shit. It's a hard one. It's a hard one to get, especially, this many decades into a career of whatever, what I mean? Of whatever it is we've built in our lives. You just know, like, you can't treat people shitty. That doesn't matter. I wouldn't want $1 million if I had to, if that meant being an asshole every single day of my life to everyone around me. It's just not worth it. This is not that, whatever the fame, the notoriety, like, that's just not worth it.
And there's nothing to gain from it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like we just last week we did this tour with the Melvins, and obviously that's a different scale of fame and notoriety, but nonetheless they're a big deal.
Yeah.
And, and we were out with them as the opening act, and all of those guys and all of their crew were so cool to us.
Did Buzz try to fire you when you stared at his purple stilettos?
No, not at all. But like, there's all these, like, all of these little things are like, like they, we were just treated so graciously, and like, just like, I bring it up just to say there's a way to do this where everybody wins, and like, I don't know, with so many people, like, in it just sort of seems like, people think like in order for me to win, everybody else has to lose.
Right.
Like,
or just they get kicked enough, it's a dog that's been kicked too many times and they just don't know what else to do other than to, kick everyone else. The shit rolls downhill. Now it's their turn to be on top of the mountain, and they're just going to shit on everyone else because they've took it long enough or whatever. There's any number of psychological reasons people are the way they are.
Yeah.
But it's,
you
see it all the time.
Yeah. So like, being out with the Melvins was just inspiring in so many ways. Just
yeah. They've been doing it for so long.
And just how you treat people.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem notoriously nice as a band.
Yeah,
for whatever the character of the meanness of the music, whatever you want to say, the type of directness in the music, it just belies soft, chewy center of a band.
Yeah.
So you move out to LA and you're playing guitar in Minneapolis. Do you come out with a band, or you come out on your own and then do you put a band together?
I moved out here by myself, but I'd been really encouraging my buddy Paul, who I went to high school with in Minneapolis, to come out too. And he did, I don't know, 6 months after I moved out here, and we started Qui.
Okay.
So
right
so like,
what a secret weapon, not so secret weapon he is. Paul's incredible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that was, I mean, we started, I mean, officially like started playing it, I guess, in 2001.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd played in bands back in Minneapolis too, but nothing of any note, nothing you'd have heard of.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. With the, but, and then with Qui, so Paul moves out, and then you start writing and playing gigs, and was it a duo at that point, or did you have someone in on bass too? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we tried like playing with several players, and like nothing worked. It was either like, sorry, I need to go turn off my heater.
Oh yeah. All good.
It's getting very warm in here.
We're in that weird zone of LA winter.
Totally. Yeah. Where it's like,
is it cold? I think it's cold here. How's that possible?
Like I didn't put the heat on last night, and then I woke up this morning, and anyway, it's cold. It's an amazing story.
Yes.
It was cold, and so I put the heat on, and now it's hot, so I turned the heat off.
What? Breaking news.
I can tell you again if you want.
We're gonna need clean audio on that one. So you guys start playing as a 3-piece and doesn't work, or
yeah, we tried playing with a few people, and he just didn't work. So we got tired of not playing, and so just decided to give it a go as a duo. I mean, it was so much of that too. It was just sort of like what's possible, it was because like either like the people who wanted to play with us couldn't play, and anybody who could play didn't want to play with us. And this was like before the White Stripes and shit. So this was like when being a 2-piece was very novel. You were taken less seriously.
Yeah. I know, but yeah, there's precedent. There's flat duo jets, or Godhead Silo. Yeah, a lot of stuff that would make sense in that world. But it's always seen as like, you're half a monkey act, a grinder monkey, and half a mime trapeze artist or something. You're like, what is this? Yeah. Then. Yeah, I'm just so curious what your experience like, kind of settling into LA. I mean, you're kind of in the thick of it there with in Silver Lake and sort of the east side of Los Angeles, the music scene, and through Silver Lake Guitars and stuff. I mean, what the Silver Lake Guitar Shop, like what was sort of driving you, or what were you kind of finding inspiring, or what were you rallying against sort of at that point?
Well, I mean, I was young.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, and a lot of it's kind of blurry, honestly.
I have a lot of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I was coming from the Midwest, and it was sort of like when the whole, like a lot of the stuff that I was into was sort of fizzling out, like the Jesus Lizard broke up, and the Cows broke up, and Amphetamine Reptile closed up shop. And, most of what was really popular at the time was like emo, or that sort of like post-hardcore, post-rock. I'm trying to think of,
or then you get like the New York kind of Strokesy sort of shit. It was like they're reinventing MC5 or Iggy Pop things.
Yeah, and I didn't dislike all of that stuff, and I've particularly come to like a lot of it more now. But yeah, at the time, I didn't really feel like there were a whole lot of bands doing stuff that I liked. So I don't know. Qui always sort of felt inherently at odds with whatever else was going on, and even within like the little confines of like, like the sort of East Side underground scene, like. We were too heavy to be part of the like, GSL 31. Well, like the sort of
Yeah.
spazzy Spock haircut.
Yeah, totally.
Sister's clothes thing, but we were too weird and experimental to be a part of the like sludge metal. Like, so we never really.
You weren't
fit in
stoners, you
anywhere.
weren't fashionistas, and it wasn't. You weren't dancey enough. All of those things. You didn't have the white belts and the haircuts, and you didn't have a ironic mustache and a Camaro, and you didn't have.
So we always sort of felt out of place. Which, you know.
Yeah. LA's a big place. Yeah. But I feel like you had the cheerleaders within like the Pete Lyman sort of world of stuff, and like, you know, there was definitely the fans of you know, the AmRep sort of world of stuff in LA that were, you know, I think always in your corner.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean that's not to say like everybody hated us and nothing good ever happened, but
you ate some worms. Nobody likes you. Go
totally.
So we just ate worms for a few years. But it's hard. I know the game. Like, I don't think I could have figured it out, you know, in LA, because it was the bars. And I think I had older brothers and older brother friends that I saw just kind of get eaten up by whatever like bar rock scene there was in Los Angeles. And you know what I mean? And you'd kind of get a little attention here, maybe a KXLU thing, you know, you play there, and then it's just like 28 comes fast, and then everybody's, you know what I mean? There seems to be that jumping point, like, fuck, all right, I got to get a job. I got my girlfriend pregnant. I move to Arizona. Like, it just, you know, from 21 to 28, the whole, you know, most bands' careers are kind of birthed, you know, and fizzled out and have expired.
Yeah.
It's hard.
You know, I mean, I just never stopped.
There's something to it, right? It was just that's the one thing. Yeah, just don't stop.
Yeah, you don't fail until you stop.
It's a self-diagnosed ending of a career. Like, well, it's still a career if I'm still doing it. You know, whether anyone ever came doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know, the history books will show whoever's left standing.
But yeah, that time and that place and all that was a lot of fun. And you know, it's funny because like I don't live in Silver Lake anymore, but everyone, you know, I find myself sort of down around there, you know, pretty frequently, and I do feel it's totally
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Oh yeah, and sometimes I do feel a little twinge of sadness that like, oh, that doesn't exist anymore. But I don't know. Some of that's probably just feeling a little sad that I'm not young anymore.
Oh yeah, man, all the time. Yeah, my wife and I will take the kids down. You know, we went to the New Beverly to show the kids like a cartoon matinee thing there. And just driving around there, and my wife lived in that area too, and you know, that kind of Hancock Park, West Hollywood sort of zone. And it's just like, this is totally different. You know what I mean? And I think in my mind, I was like, oh, when I'm older, I'll have a house here and do this. I look at them now, like, I can't believe I afforded to rent there. How did I even like live? Like, it just, again, just belies the devil's in the details. Like, it was such a different time. You know what I mean? When we could rent a back apartment for $500, you know, and then
totally, dude. I know. Just
like goof off with your friends.
We had a 2.5 bedroom duplex in Los Feliz for $800.
Right? Yeah. It's just sort of like the same thing now, like $3,000. You're like, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, at the same time too, like, I can't afford to live there anyway, but I think if I could, I wouldn't.
Right. Well, yeah.
You know, I mean, and actually, I mean, I could afford to live there. I don't want to. Like, I'm 47. I have like no desire to be like up in the mix. I don't need to be close to where the party is. Like, you know, I work in nightlife. So like when I'm like the last thing I want to do is be anywhere near people having a good time on my nights off.
Yeah. Well, the years of needing to live by the bar, you know, it takes on a different meaning. It means something in your 20s and means something different in your 40s. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I have a car now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So what, I'm trying to just go through, you know, just through my experience with Qui. I mean, you, at one point you have, David Yao of the Jesus Lizard in the band. how did that happen? Well, I mean, what was some of that like?
Well, David had moved to LA and we hadn't met, but it was sort of like the Jesus Lizard were like my very favorite band. They still are like,
same here. Yeah.
Still to this day, the single best show I ever saw.
Which show was that?
This was would have been 95. It was my first time seeing them, and I actually went because the Cows were opening.
This is in Minneapolis.
And I knew, in Minneapolis, yeah. And it was like I knew of the Jesus Lizard, but I didn't really know their deal. But I went.
Would this been First Street? Were they big enough to fill
First
that?
Avenue.
First Avenue, yeah.
This is in the big room.
Wow, that's great.
So yeah, it was the Jesus Lizard, Cows, Six Finger Satellite.
And was Mac still on drums?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
that's a great lineup. Wait, sorry, I just glossed over Six Finger Satellite, Cows, Jesus Lizard.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And honestly, like, came out, I didn't really know what to expect, and it was like the funniest, scariest, like most rocking thing I'd ever seen. I mean, I remember thinking, it was like, God, this is like Captain Beefheart doing AC/DC covers or something.
Yeah.
You know, or like Led Zeppelin playing the birthday party. And I mean, it was just like, I just blew my hair back like nothing I'd ever seen. It was,
and that was just before Down. They probably had all the songs from Down. They're playing live. Right at that.
Shot.
Before Shot. Oh, so Down had already come out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In 95.
And it was, like I've never really recovered from it.
That's amazing.
I'm
trying to.
But anyway, so I was a big fan, and you know, I had friends who knew him, and like one night, one of them called me like, "Hey, we're all hanging. You know, we're here with David. We're all hanging out at the Cha-Cha. You should come down." And so I did, and we just hung out and hit it off and got chummy. Started partying together a lot, and then I asked him to sing. To do just to sing a song with Qui once at a show, and that sort of grew into that. So the first time we played with him, we covered Black Dog by Led Zeppelin and Willie the Pimp by Frank Zappa, and then he learned a couple of our songs, and you know, pretty
wild.
Quickly it was like
off to the races.
I remember him being like, "Can I just be in the band?" It was just like.
Sure.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, that was, a fucking dream. I mean,
yeah,
you know, like playing with the singer of my favorite band.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I saw them at Lollapalooza in 95, right? Nice. I think that was the Lollapalooza that year. That would make sense. And then, but they were early. They were like on like second or you know, if not first. It was like Mighty Boss Tones, and then Jesus Lizard, and then we would have the nosebleed seats up in the grass in Irvine. I was just thinking like, this is cool, but this isn't the way to see Jesus Lizard. You know, at that point I had all the CDs and I was like stoked, but I was also like, I think something's wrong. This isn't quite right. And then that next summer or later that year, they played the Roxy, but they didn't have Mac. They had was it Jim Kimball? Yeah. And it was good. It was great, actually. It was a great show. But you know, but I didn't really know what I was seeing or not seeing, you know, and that kind of thing. But the Roxy was just, it exploded. And I remember we didn't have tickets, but my buddy worked at the mall, at at a skate shop at the mall. And so we just went there without tickets, not knowing how things worked as a kid, at probably, 15, 16 years old. And the bouncer, he recognized the bouncer from the skate shop. Like, this guy comes into the skate shop out, in the San Gabriel Valley all the time.
Oh, nice.
So he's like, "Hey man, how's it going? Cool. So, me and my two goobers friends over here, we're trying to get in, but I'll hook you up next time you come to the shop or something. I'll get you a discount on something." And the guy was just like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck." Now knowing in hindsight, like he was our knight in shining armor. Now, it's like just some guy like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Just go in there."
Oh, I love that shit.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, like,
it made our world. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah. I remember like some family friends and stuff who worked at First Avenue. So like when I was, 14, 15 going there, like there were a couple of staff who kind of knew who I was, which then just made me feel like,
Yeah.
king shit. Like, I'm a VIP. I get free soda. Like, that's great when you're a kid, though.
Oh yeah, no, and it was such a huge show, and such I just remember just loving everything about it, and I think that was probably I think I'd just seen them those 2 times in that original lineup, and then every reunion. I've been able, try to like, okay, I don't want to miss this again. Because looking back on it, those shows just, the specifically that Roxy one just loomed so large in my memory. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, those shows like that too. When you're that age and like you haven't seen everything yet, and you're not,
It's that window of time.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Your brain's still open to new experiences.
Yeah, I had a handful of those where it was just like, didn't know what I was going to see, and was just blown away. Yeah. Like, I remember seeing Shudder to Think around that same time. Or no, I was still in high school, and that was like another one where like I didn't like kind of knew of them. I went. It was like, yeah, Shudder to Think, Sunny Day Real Estate, and Brainiac. And I went. I wasn't super into any of those bands. I was supposed to go with a girl who ended up going to the show with somebody else, and so I went out of spite. Like, Brainiac was fucking awesome, and I hated and still hate Sunny Day Real Estate. But then, like, yeah, Shudder to Think came out, and again, it was just another one. Just like, what the fuck is that? Never heard anything like it. That's like when they were doing Pony Express records. So
that's cool. They're one band that I missed for some reason. I never really connected with them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had some great records, but Pony Express record was kind of like their opus of like very strange, odd meter, like dissonant stuff, but with this operatic vocals on top, and it was pretty freaking thrilling for me.
That's awesome. So then what's next after? Yeah. So then Dave, exits the band, and then you and Paul kind of just say, all right, well, let's keep it going.
Yeah. Well, we were sort of dealing with some lifestyle stuff.
Mm-hmm. As one does. Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, basically, like, what happened with all that is I got strung out. And, in the midst of all of that, was like the first Jesus Lizard reunions, and was sort of left at like, get your shit together and we'll reconvene. And that took me a minute. And by the time all was sort of said and done, David had just done, these rounds of like Jesus Lizard shows and didn't want to do it anymore, which fair enough. And so, we talked, like Paul and I talked about like, well, do we keep going? What do we do? And sort of just decided like, we were a duo for 6 years before we played with David. So let's just go back to doing that. And yeah, so that's what we did. For better or for worse. I mean, it's kind of hard to like,
yeah, don't give up. Like what the fuck? Yeah.
Well, and that was, I mean, kind of the spirit of what we were always about anyway, like we were always weird. We were always doing, we sort of like, built our whole thing around doing stuff that was a bad idea. So,
so why stop now?
Yeah, totally. It was like very on brand, and that worked out okay. So yeah, we put out a record in 2012, 13, back as a duo, and had some, very deliberately different sort of stylistic stuff to sort of like, we sort of figured if we just put out like another screamy noise thing, we would pretty much be relegated to not as good as when the guy from the Jesus Lizard was in the band. So we tried to do something different, more experimental. And that's kind of just what we've kept doing. Yeah. So like, I mean, we like basically up to through like 2019, we put out a bunch of small records. We toured Europe a bunch. Like, I mean, those like during that period, we were like back and forth to Europe at least once, often twice a year, for like two months at a time. So we played a lot in Europe.
It's great.
and did some US stuff, but play a lot more overseas.
That's always fun. We can have that. I feel like I've definitely done that run for a while. It's like, this is great. This is so much fun.
I know. It's so
the coffee's better. People are nicer.
Oh my God. Pay's better. Food's better. Lodging's better.
Yeah. And then you come back to the States and you just kind of get shit on. You're like, oh, right. Thanks. It's good to be home.
Yeah. For a good while, honestly, I'm still like, not real. Like I would like to buy an apartment in Spain, and
that'd be fun.
Kind of hoping to pull the trigger on that in the next year or so.
Oh, cool.
Like,
which
and part? I don't want to move
like in Barcelona,
Alicante.
Where's that?
I think it's like an hour from Valencia.
Okay.
It's on the Mediterranean. It's actually the same latitudinal line as Santa Barbara.
Oh.
So it's that exact same kind of climate. Yeah. And it's very, very cheap. And I don't want to I love living in LA. Like, I don't want to leave here, but I also would like to own something, and I can't afford anything anywhere I want to live in LA.
Yeah. It's crazy. Oh, I'm looking up Alicante. Oh my God. Yeah. Why not? Right. If you can do it, and figure out whatever. And then even just for the general American experience right now is grim, if not oppressive and fascistic. Might as well.
And honestly, like the thought of having like an escape route.
Sure.
For when the mobs of brown shirts start pulling people out of their houses.
Oh my God. What? Oh my. Okay, I see where it is. So I'm just looking now. I'm like very unradio like of me. I'm just looking at the map. Like, yeah, we're gorgeous. You got to do it.
Yeah, it's like it's gorgeous there, and like my situation here is such that like I have a very affordable home, and a lot of the work that I do can do remotely, and so I could sort of come and go.
That's great.
Well, we'll see how all that works out, but like I'd really like to do that.
It'd be fun, and then or at least it's a place to base yourself too, and just go do more shows, more touring.
Totally.
Starting out
that
there,
was my thinking.
It's a lot easier too.
Yeah.
How awesome. That's exciting. And but there's other bands on deck as well. What can you tell me about the latest projects?
Cunts?
Yeah.
Are we saying that? Is that okay to say?
You tell me. I don't know. I don't know what that. I don't care. I mean,
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Yeah. What? Tell me about the band and the name and everything, and what are people experiencing?
All right. So I sing in a band called Cunts, with Mike Crane, who was in Retox, Dead Cross, Festival of Dead Deer, and Kevin Avery, who played drums in Retox, plays in Planet B. Ryan Bergman, who was also in Retox. So we started in 2018 with a different lineup. It was basically like me and a few other buddies. Like it all started on a text thread. Like it's like a few of my like friends, like have a text thread where we would, send, dirty jokes and shit. And we were all guys from bands, and somebody's just like, hey, why don't we start a band? So we started Cunts. As far as the name, that was my idea. And I just thought it would be funny. I also didn't really think it was going to be as big of a deal as it ended up being. Which just maybe my own tone deafness, but I just always thought that would be a great name for like a nasty punk band.
Yeah. Wait, what do people? I mean, do you not get shows? Do people book shows and then say, actually, we get protests, or people talk shit?
Oh yeah, we
online.
We're not
disruptions.
We're not allowed to play at Gilman.
Oh, okay.
Which heartbreaking. Yeah. I've played at Gilman. I don't. No, like we put out like our first record we put out, and I remember talking to like like the director of rock promotion for Apple Music, and her saying like, I really like your record and I can't do anything with it. I can't feature you guys. I can't, and like Rolling Stone wouldn't review it. And there were some festivals that wouldn't book us. And yeah. And so we did that. And it was fun, but like we did another tour with the Melvins, and like, they wouldn't put our name on the marquee and shit like that. And so, we did that up, and then the pandemic hit. And so we were out of commission. And then had sort of this crazy confluence of events during the pandemic where I got into a car accident, and I got pretty banged up, and like, long story short, pretty much when the world was starting to open again and it was like, oh, let's start playing again and stuff, I ended up having a surgery where they accidentally fucked up my vocal cords, and I couldn't talk for about 8 months.
Oh Lord, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that.
Oh really? Yeah.
No.
Oh, they had told me like that it was probably never going to come back. But if it did, it was going to take years. So I was kind of like, guess I'm not singing anymore. So, and then eventually it did come back after about 8 months, and we started playing again, and it was good. So we recorded another record, and before we put it out, we talked with our label and with the booking agent, all the people, and just asked, do you think it would make our lives easier if we changed it to CNTS? And they said, absolutely it would. So we did. So, I mean, we still say cunts.
Okay.
It's just,
I didn't know. Yeah.
It's just nobody's going to get yelled at for putting CNTS on a poster,
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Europe as well, I mean, I think, in the sort of in the UK vernacular, or in the Australian, sort of derivative of English, you could say that all day long. I mean, people say it as like man or dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of, it's another kind of like it's not seen as I don't know,
speech.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I had it all to do over again, I'm not sure I would have. Yeah, I mean, gone with that name, but I don't know. I mean, like, it hasn't really been an issue for us for a while, and just about anyone who like, oh, what's your band called? And I tell them, pretty much everyone just laughs, which was the whole point. We were, had sort of like a handful of people with, asymmetrical haircuts for a minute who were trying to like get us banned or whatever. And it's like, banned from what? It's right. like, and that was kind of like, but I like,
within your punk community, that's sort of, it's taken in the spirit in which it's meant, and not conflated into some type of misogynistic men's group.
Yeah.
If anything. Yeah. Well, I think we live in interesting times in this sort of place, specifically, in this whatever post-Trump anti-DEI sort of thing, where it's horrific in some sense, but I think everyone's sort of coming to the table with opinions, right or wrong, other sized, too small, too big. And, I think there's been a lot of, I don't know, where there was a feeling of, art as pushing boundaries, or art, specifically within aggressive music in a kind of way, or punk music, or whatever this is that there was things that were done to shock, and that maybe weren't meant as philosophical statements or political rallying cries, and as much as they were as like, I'm going to bite the head off of a bat. I'm not saying everyone should go bite heads off bats, but this is done as a shocking kind of rock and roll antics in the, in the style of that. And I would, I think my take on it was always Twitter sort of relegated any sort of discussion, online discussion, to the most simplest form. You had whatever number of characters there were to debate anything. And so now you're debating with a global audience, and nuance was quickly obliterated in ways that, you know what I mean, that I think were really difficult to have, and specifically regional, humorous, offensive, art experiments in ways I think, what a lot of punk and independent or, aggressive sort of 90s communities were hyper localized, hyper offensive, and hyper humorous in aggressive, in this aggressive kind of way, like a band like Jesus Lizard, well, is that offensive? Can we not,
absolutely,
with somebody, you know what I mean? Yeah. Is this anti-religious, or a band like Bad Religion? Like, is that a word that was that a name you wouldn't say now? And these types of things that have become sort of, almost, institutionalized sort of ideas, you know what I mean? But
and I think it
time.
No, I think it really is a shame that, I mean, I'm about as far left as, well, maybe that's not true. I'm extremely far left, it's like I have a car and shit, but like, but it always sort of seemed to me that like our side was like the side of like critical thinking and humor and, this sort of knee-jerk reactionary sort of like, that's a bad word you're not supposed to say, so I hate you shit. Like that's what the book burners do.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. Like, we're the fun side. Like,
right. Well, yeah, you bring someone like a Frank Zappa,
ability,
you know what I mean? You bring up like a Frank Zappa type of argument to art, or
freedom
of speech.
So to sort of see, the sort of pearl clutching, not just around us, but just around like anything. And it's like anybody who might have something a little edgy to say, and all of a sudden they're like, you're a bigot. And it's just, I think it's a shame that I think it's sort of emblematic of how we consume information now.
Right. Well, media became a monoculture where it used to be like, oh, I don't like that kind of music, so I don't listen to that kind of music. I don't like those kind of clubs. I don't like that kind of art. I don't go support that art. Not that they should be arrested for making that art, or they should be, not allowed to do that. It was like, the idea that many cultures exist at the same time, and if you don't like it, you don't participate in it, but you don't restrict any others' access to participate in whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't go to strip clubs. I don't think other people should not go to, I don't think strip clubs should be banned. I don't think strippers or sex workers should not be allowed to make money in whatever their chosen thing is. If they're not hurting themselves or others and it's legal, do whatever the hell you want to do. I can choose to do what I want to do with my life and live with my own, art and make the world I want to live in. But I'm not going to tell you not to do that with your, you know what I mean? There's lots of this. That was a big part of the liberal side, of the left side, of like live and let live. You know what I mean? Like, legalize everything and then figure it out, as it goes. Like, just because everything's legal doesn't mean you have to become a heroin addict just because it's legal. But we're not going to criminalize people who are sick and need medical attention rather than criminalization and institutional, sort of whatever. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, even just the idea that like, again, like if I don't like something, I just don't do it. Yeah. I don't boycott it. You know what I mean? Like,
but there's things I do boycott. If you're in the government, if you're in a position of power in the government and you're abusing that power, or you're creating unfair wars and you want my tax dollars, I think there was like, protests were meant for specific things. I do believe in the right to protest, but I think an individual's art piece or a particular group's thing, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it all goes for what it is. You know what I mean? Specifically, I love protesting the government. Because I think that's something we're all inherently part of. You can't really opt out of being part of your country. You know what I mean? Whereas culturally and leisure time, like leisure activities, I don't like that movie. I'm not going to go see that movie. You know what I mean? I'm not going to protest the movie. It's a private business thing. But if you're going to take my money, if you're going to charge me $4.95 a month, and I have to support your movie or whatever, or you're going to take 50% of my income to support this film, then like, okay, well, I'll protest that. But, in terms of tax,
and I think too, particularly, for a band like Cunts, like if you can't live with our existence, we're pretty easy to avoid. You know what I mean? Nice? We're not on billboards. We're not You know,
You're
like
not opening for Taylor Swift.
We're not playing the halftime show. Yeah, like
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you consider how many people there are in the world versus how many streams we get on Spotify, it's as though we don't even exist.
Yes. If you're against us by name only, yeah, you can revel in the fact that we are not a money making behemoth that you may think we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We sure aren't.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, it's the world, I think we grew up in the music we grew up in. I think there was a lot of that kind of debate and those sort of things. And I'm always, and again, that's just it. It's a conversation. It's a debate. It's something to be had amongst a scene, a community, a thing, and everybody can figure out their stance to that and then act accordingly. But it's again, that like, you shouldn't exist sort of, you know what I mean? This idea of if only like a monoculture agrees that like this thing should be canceled or this thing should go out of existence or should no longer be held viable. It's like, there's still people, there's still things, these things still exist, all the issues you're saying you're against, whether a band with a name like this or whether, you know what I mean? The name of the art piece isn't necessarily, it is not the idea, you know what I mean? Racism will still exist after you ban the band, the racist name or the person who says the racist thing. Like, it's unfortunate, but I don't know.
And then on the other hand, a lot of the people, complaining about cancel culture and all the sort of conservatives who are saying that like, oh, we don't have a voice or we're not allowed to say what we want to say. And it's like, you absolutely are allowed to say whatever the fuck you want. But if cancel culture comes down to we as a people don't want to consume your product, that's the free market. And conservatives love the free market until it starts not working for them.
Right.
When it's like, wait, we can't be Nazis and force people to buy our fucking garbage. Well, this isn't fair. It's censorship. Like, no, it's not. Right. Like, I don't want to spend my money supporting you. Say whatever the fuck you want, asshole.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's stopping you. Nobody's shutting down your platforms. It's just that people aren't going to buy your garbage.
Yeah. And the same could be said, with a band like Hunts. Like, yeah, we're not, sing, be cunts all you want, but we're not going to buy your record. We're not going to do anything. You're like, okay, you can still exist. You can still sing your songs. You can still tour. You can still do everything you want to do. But that's what you would hope would happen. Yeah.
I mean, like the whole thing with cunts is we're just like having fun,
Sure.
Like that's it. Like there's no like, and I like saying shit you ain't supposed to say.
Right. Yeah. You'd be the first person to acknowledge that that the problematic nature of all the things. That's part of why it was done. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not going to deny you poked somebody in the eye. It's like, no, that was the idea. I was supposed to poke you in the eye. That's what we're doing. That's the name of the band. It's meant to poke you in the eye. If you don't enjoy that kind of thing, then don't stand so close to me. Go stand over there. This is the band. We say it, wear it on your sleeve.
Yeah. It's like, if you don't want to get shit on you, don't go see G.G. Allen.
Right. Yeah. There it is. Yeah. If you don't want to be covered in blood, or if you don't want to be covered in watermelon, don't see Gallagher.
Totally. And sorry, I have a work text.
Oh, no worries. Oh, let them know we're debating all the world's problems and we're solving them here.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, when we came up with the name, I honestly thought like, well, church ladies will be really offended by that, but they're never going to hear us. So I don't know. I mean, it hasn't really been much of an issue for a while. And I don't care. It hasn't really stopped us from doing anything. And if we could have thought of something better, we would have.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, the band is what it is. And it's great. Good. This has been awesome, man. I appreciate you taking the time jumping on here. It's fun.
Oh, happy to, man.
Yeah, hour flies by. Speaking of which, where do you want people to follow you and find out what you're doing? If they don't already know about you, where can people learn more and keep up on what's coming next?
Well, I'm on all the socials. Matt Cronk. I need to do a better job of maybe maintaining a stronger web presence, but Cunts and actually Qui too have released records on Ipecac, so a lot of that information is on their website at ipecac.com. Yeah, I guess do you want like
I don't know. Yeah.
phone number?
No. I just mean like, how do people like, yeah, the Instagram hand, if you Instagram CNTS,
oh, yeah.
is that right?
Instagram is CNTSLA or at one word Matt Cronk.
There we go. There, okay, cool. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was great getting to catch up.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. See ya. There he is, the one and only Matt Cronk. Go follow him on the Instagram at Matt Cronk, MattCronk. There you can follow up on everything that CNTS is doing. They have shows this weekend, I believe. CNTS LA is their Instagram handle. And yeah, they are playing shows. So go follow them, follow up with them, see what they're up to. And yeah, I will see you on Monday. Have a safe weekend out there. And if you're in the LA area, be safe. And, have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean that's not to say like everybody hated us and nothing good ever happened.